What's going on, folks? This is Mad Black, and I'm black up in your face again with some more pro-black commentary. So this video might be a little bit longer than my usual, and it's because I want to talk about a certain subject, but I want to talk about it holistically, and I want to make sure that I try to cover the different facets of it and try to cover it in an intelligent way. So I've noticed in the news recently, there's been an uptick of a lot of different stories where it's a situation where a woman is offended or upset or she's arguing with somebody and she goes and calls either her boyfriend, her brothers, or her son, basically calling another black man, and the black man gets there and all hell breaks loose. And, there's different results to these situations, but it always ends in violence and it always ends bad. And like I said, I want to talk about this subject, but I want to talk about it in an intelligent manner. This is not going to be a video where I blame all black women for this type of nonsense. This is also not going to be a video where I blame all black men for this type of nonsense. To me, I see this as a deadly combination when you have a loudmouth woman and a super insane simp show up to a situation. It just ends badly, okay? Loudmouth woman plus insane simp equals absolute chaos. It's almost like when you watch the Boondocks. If you watch those old episodes of the Boondocks and they have the N-word moment episodes, that's almost what it's like, okay? But first, I'm going to talk about the situations and then I'll give my opinion on this deadly combination after the fact, okay? So the first situation is the infamous story that happened in New York where a bodega worker is confronted by a woman because her EBT card is not working for some potato chips that she wants to buy for her child. So she's trying to buy some chips at the bodega. The EBT card is not working, and she gets into an argument with the owner of the store. Now, I don't know. I've never been on public assistance, so I don't know how this works. So you would have to tell me, can you even get chips with an EBT card? I thought it was only for certain types of things that were marked off as stuff you can buy with EBT, but maybe it works different in different states. Maybe it works differently where I'm at. So I don't know. But like I said, I've never been on public assistance to use an EBT card, so I don't know how that works. You would have to tell me how that works, okay? But she gets into an argument with the guy, and the guy just won't budge. He's like, I'm not giving you these chips because your EBT card's not working. Now, the best option for her would have been to go call the people at EBT or maybe use some other means of paying for it. But instead, she calls her boyfriend and calls her boyfriend in there to do some harm to the cashier. Instead of just calling her boyfriend and saying, hey, can you loan me $1 or whatever these chips will probably cost? I would assume they didn't cost a lot, but why not just get your boyfriend to come over there and give you some money? But instead, the boyfriend comes over there. He jumps behind the counter to confront the bodega worker, and the bodega worker winds up stabbing this man. Okay, so it was a big hoopla in the media whether this bodega worker gets the was he doing self-defense? What he did, was it illegal? But I'm not going to get into that whole section of it. I'm just getting into the fact that this woman had a problem. She called her man and violence ensued. Okay, so that's the first story. Second story I saw was a young lady. She was having a domestic violence situation with her man, and instead of just leaving the premises, which is basically what you do when you don't want to deal with a domestic violence situation, she called her two brothers to come there and confront this man. Okay, and the two brothers get there and they knock the door down, basically, of the boyfriend. And he told them not to come in there. He warned them several times, but they still knocked his door down. So when they knocked his door down, he just opened fire. and wound up shooting both men. I think he put one in the hospital and killed one on the spot. But you can see the video. I can't play it here for obvious reasons because it's showing violence on YouTube, but he shot them both and they're both laying in the grass. Okay? So another situation where a woman gets into an altercation with another man. She called her two brothers. This time wasn't her man. She called her two brothers, and all hell broke loose. That situation could be dealt with a lot better. That didn't have to end in violence. Last story is the most an egregious one, and also it's the most recent one where also in New York where a woman gets into an altercation with some McDonald's workers because they gave her cold fries. Okay, they gave her cold fries. They were also very rude to her. She asked for, some fries that were heated up, and he basically just gave her the same package of fries over again. So she was upset and said, "These people are playing with me. They're being disrespectful." So she calls her son on FaceTime, and her son is a jailbird. He's been locked up before for other nonsense. He shows up with a gun, gets into an argument with one of the male workers. Then the son goes outside, and the male worker decides he's going to go outside and fight the son or whatever. I don't know, but he winds up getting shot in the neck. Excuse me. And very recently, the young man that got shot in the neck, he was in critical condition for several days, but he finally passed away. So now this young man has committed murder, right? Because of his mama and the cold French fries. Didn't need to happen at all. If you get screwed over at a fast food place, your option is to basically leave, take whatever the receipt they gave you, take that receipt and go lobby a complaint with the corporate office. And with the receipt, you have the time, you'll have your order, what you actually ordered, and you'll have the name, the number for the actual store, like the store locator number. So that way you'll have an exact place to report these people, okay? That's what you want to do in that situation. I've done it before myself. And usually you might get free food or, the manager usually calls you with an apology and you might even get some coupons or something, right? So usually you make out better for it, especially with those big corporations like McDonald's, Burger King, or whatever, right? So do that. That's how you handle that situation. You don't call in a Pookie airstrike, okay? You don't call on your jailbird son to get into a violent altercation with the people at McDonald's. And in my opinion, in that situation, there was extra ignorance added on top with the McDonald's worker himself even arguing with somebody. I'm not arguing. If I work at a fast food place and I'm making minimum wage, I'm not arguing with any customer over anything. Let corporate handle that, okay? It's not that damn serious to get shot over some damn French fries. He should have stayed his ass inside and called the police or whatever if he thought that this man outside was a threat. But like I said, he went outside anyway and got shot in the neck, and he paid the ultimate price for it, okay? So those are the three stories I'm going to talk about. And, in all three cases, it showcases, like I said, a deadly combination of a woman who can't deal with whatever situation she's in. She can't deal with it in a rational way. So she'll call a man to deal with it, and it just goes out of control. And the man is usually someone who's very emotional, is someone who he doesn't think logically. So him going into that situation just is like just throwing gasoline or lighter fluid onto a fire, okay? And it just goes all bad, and someone ends up dead at the end. So I want to talk about this, and I know that the initial reaction or the initial idea is to just automatically either blame the woman or the man. Like I said before, I think it's a combination of both that's the problem, and the mentality that goes along with that, okay? We have to learn how to deal with situations in a more mature and a more logical manner so that we're not causing the death of somebody or our lives are not being ended in the process, okay? These are things that people only think about when they're in prison or, when their loved one is shot or dead somewhere. When you actually start to sit and think about it, you think, was this bag of chips really worth it? Was it worth the life of my boyfriend? Were these cold fries really worth the life of my son who's about to go to prison now, or the life of this cashier? What was this domestic violence situation worth the lives of my two brothers? You see what I'm saying? We have to think about these things. And and what I'm about to say next is something that I learned from the women in my family, both my grandmother and my mother. So if any women have a problem with what I'm about to say, get mad at the old school women out there. You, as a man, you have to be careful with what a woman tells you as far as something that's happening to her, and make sure you investigate. There's nothing wrong with investigating a situation before you get sent off to do something to somebody, fellas. Okay? There's nothing wrong with investigating. Don't let any woman tell you you're just supposed to automatically believe what she says, or always believe the woman or whatever, because in that type of situation, it could end really badly for you, and that's in more than one way. Okay? It can end badly for you. Either you get killed in that situation, or you kill somebody else and you wind up going to prison. And the woman can just easily just walk away. The woman's not going to be held responsible at all. She can just go somewhere else and she'll get a new guy, or just be hanging out somewhere and not come visit you while you're locked up, and definitely not be able to see you when you're in the grave. Okay? So men need to think about this before they get wound up in what some woman says. Because a lot of times, if you just sit them down and talk to them rationally about a situation, you can find out what the real story was. And for the most part, most women with sense will not gas you up or send you out there to do harm to somebody else, or cause harm. Most women who have sense will not do that. If they really truly love you, they'll want to protect you somehow. Now, I know for a fact that my wife, that if she came and told me that something happened to her or someone did something to her, she's telling me the truth, because she's not that type of person to get bent out of shape about what someone says, or something that's super petty. You know what I mean? Like if someone messed up her order at a restaurant, it's just messed up, or will lobby a complaint. It's not like she's going to flip out and ask me to come down there and bust someone's head open. So you got to be aware of stuff like that. Make sure you're with the right type of person who's not going to put your life in danger. Okay? Like, I remember a situation when I was very young where a certain female family member of mine, she was having some problems with her boyfriend, her baby daddy at the time, and they had an argument, and she came back to my grandmother's house and wanted to tell her, what was going on. Okay, and my grandmother, in her wisdom, was able to figure out exactly what happened before anyone in the family got upset, or the men in her family got upset to go do something to this guy. Okay, so when my family member told the story, it sounded like something out of a Lifetime movie. Like, it basically sounded like the guy was basically waiting in her apartment in the dark, and then when she flipped on the lights, he just appeared out of a corner somewhere and grabbed her by her shoulders and yelled at her and screamed at her and everything else. Never actually hit her, but the way the story was told, it was very dramatic. My family member, she was very upset, obviously, by the situation, but there was no like, he just basically grabbed her by her shoulders and shook her, basically, right? But the way the story was told, it almost sounded like this guy was like a ninja or something like that. Or, like I said, it sounded like a horror movie or a Lifetime movie. But basically, my grandmother, in her wisdom, sat my family member down, talked to her, and kept asking her, okay, what happened? She basically asked her over and over again what happened, like asked for all the details of the story. Didn't yell at her, didn't say anything loud, or just in a very calm voice. Like, can you tell me what happened again? And basically, we got the whole story, that my family member was caught messing with somebody else, and that's why the baby daddy was upset. They hadn't officially broken up yet, but that was the problem. And my grandmother was able to get that whole story out. So that calmed everything down before it escalated into the point where the men in my family were looking to do violence to this man. And luckily that didn't happen, okay? Because they were able to reconcile. They did break up, but they still were able to co-parent. And, this man is still good friends with the family today. They all still act very cordial today. I remember when my aunt passed away, everybody came out for the funeral. Even, he was there because, like I said, he knew he was a friend of the family then, right? And he wanted to be there for his son. So, it was no water under the bridge. That situation never came up again. But it was all because my grandmother had the sense to find out what the real story was, so it didn't escalate into anything else. Okay, so that's what I mean. You can't have these irrational, overly emotional situations go on and then like just jump into it all crazy or half cocked, because something bad can really happen. And I know this flies in the face of the whole idea of quote unquote protect black women. This is why I was always one of the reasons I was always very against that statement, because you have to be careful. All right, we do have to find out what's really going on, because I think when a lot of women say that, they want the Pookie airstrike. They want that whole nonsense where just a man just believes automatically what they say, and he comes in like the Tasmanian devil and just rains hell and brimstone and fire on everybody in the vicinity. You gotta be careful of that. You can't just go off doing that, because that basically puts black men in danger in more ways than one. It can put their own life in danger, or it can send them to prison for what they do to somebody else. I'm not saying that we should not protect black women or we shouldn't believe them if they've been assaulted, but once again, you have to understand the woman you're dealing with. Make sure she's someone who's sensible. So you're not just being sent off half-cocked and sent into a situation that can end violently, okay? There have even been situations where the woman will go and complain about something being done to her by some guy, and you go and try to save her or help her, and then the girl, you're fighting the guy, and then the girl jumps on you because you're beating up her boyfriend that she still loves. You see what I'm saying? So you have to be careful in that type of situation. I've seen that happen too. As a matter of fact, there was a story where the woman, she called someone over to help her, and the guy that came over to help her, he got shot and killed, and the woman, of her own free will, just went ahead and got in the car with the guy that shot her, like with her boyfriend that apparently she had a dispute with before. So you have to be careful of that. That's what I'm saying to a lot of young men out there. Don't get hyped up and let these women put the battery in your back because you want to defend her honor. And women have to be careful with that, because that's what I'm saying is like black women act as if that stuff doesn't go on, as if they don't will hype up a black man, or black men don't come defend their honor or whatever. They'll still, now these same women that caused those 3 tragedies that I just talked about, they'll still probably get on social media and say protect black women, as if black men don't do that, even though black men have gotten in trouble or died because of the situation they started, basically. And once again, to those types of women, there are ways to handle those situations without causing a ruckus or causing violence. Like both those women that went, the lady that went to the bodega and the lady that went to the McDonald's, excuse me, there's ways to handle those situations that you could have checked on and gone through the proper channels without getting into an argument with somebody, and definitely not calling your emotional boyfriend or your jailbird son to come in and cause a violent act, okay? So once again, I mean, you folks can let me know how you feel about these types of situations in the comment section. I'd very much like to hear what you all have to say and your opinions on this. Once again, I'm not blaming all black women for these types of situations, and I'm not blaming all black men either. This is a deadly combination of a lot of ignorance, a lot of emotionalism, and people just not thinking past the logical point to understand that what they're getting upset about is not really that big of a deal. Or if it is a big deal, there are proper ways to handle it that don't end in violence or don't end with someone losing their life or someone getting hurt or someone going to prison. Okay? So be very careful out there. I'm not saying you can't come to the defense of your loved ones, but you need to be careful of how you do so and make sure you find out and know the whole story first before things get out of hand and you wind up losing your life. I mean, just go into any situation with any other person, assume that that person is probably armed or assume that that person can do something to you as well. And just really need to be careful. Okay, that's basically my whole reason for even doing this video, is telling people to be careful, think things through, and try to figure out a different solution, because just automatically jumping into violence is tough, and you can end up in a really bad situation, whether you go to prison or you just end up in the grave and never to return. So anyone who wants to give me their comments on this, go ahead and jump in the comments section and let me know how they feel about it. Anyway, Mad Black, and I will be back with my foot on these devils' back.